to this ring? Give me a hell yeah!
And we're back once again. SCI. Is that
Wrestling.
right?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, I don't know why. I was thinking that wasn't right. Okay.
No, you got it.
SCI Wrestling.
SCI Wrestling. We're a brand new show.
Boy, I am telling you. And you know what kind of messed me up this week was I was watching some cop shows on television last night. So I've still got the other initials emblazoned in my brain.
Like what? Like NYPD or something?
No, CSI.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
and see, whenever I watch CSI, I kind of get all backwards. Ours is SCI. Ours is the proper spelling.
Exactly.
The cop shows had it wrong all this time.
Exactly.
Anyway, I'm WB Ward.
And I'm Chip Douglas.
And we're back once again for
another episode of SCI Wrestling.
Thank you. I was going to give you the opportunity to screw that up for a change, but you did it right. Okay, let's remind everybody about all of our contacts.
Absolutely.
Out
Hold on just a second.
Okay.
SCI_wrestling is our Twitter. Please go follow us, retweet, send people our way. We would love to have more followers. Also, YouTube is where you can hear the show,
yes.
Which is SCI Wrestling. And then our Facebook page, Squared Circle Insider Wrestling. And soon to come, the website will be up. Here in lovely Tulsa, Oklahoma, we had some electrical problems.
Yeah, a few.
Yeah, so we had some pretty nice hurricane-like storms. So
yep.
I have electricity, so haven't been able to get that done, but it is coming. The website is coming.
Well, I tell you, my little apartment here was darker than a French girl's armpit the other night.
It's strange when the whole neighborhood goes out because it's like Silent Hill.
So, and I failed to let you know that earlier today here in the studio, our electricity was flickering.
Uh-oh.
So, folks, if we just kind of magically disappear on you, that's what happened. But I'm confident we're okay because we do have an emergency battery backup, which allows the computer to continue running.
Should be good.
Yeah.
Should be good.
Okay.
So last week, you after the show went off to air, you told me that you wanted 5 minutes. Oh, by the way, for all the listeners, this is our special 1 hour show. It's kind of like our trial here because we're doing an hour show without a guest. So we're trying to, trial by air to see if we'll be able to do this. We're confident that we are.
Stretch our legs.
But last week, WB told me off air that he wanted to take 5 minutes just to kind of, I have no clue what he wanted to do. That's the lovely part of the shows.
Boy, are you totally screwed now.
Yeah, I know. We try not to talk about what we're going to do on the show. We have format sheets, and that's all we basically go off of.
Yeah.
Except for he did show me one thing that I didn't get a chance to see before the show, but we'll get into that later.
That's one thing Chip has in common with me. Neither one of us has a clue what's going to be coming out of my mouth.
So this segment, we didn't have time to do bumper music for this, is called WB Soapbox Corner.
I should have got some bumper music.
You should.
I should have got some. Or we'll do that.
So
okay,
take it away.
Believe it or not, we got fan mail.
Really?
I had an email last week, and here's it's kind of short and it's kind of sweet. Here's what it says, and then I'm going to respond to this. Mr. Ward, I just listened to one of your episodes of SCI Wrestling, and I must say, I didn't think there were as many stupid people as you and that idiot on the show with you. Don't you guys know that professional wrestling is fake? For God's sakes, just watch the show closely. These guys aren't really fighting. They really don't get hurt. It's just a stupid way for people to get their jollies while watching nearly naked men sweat. I hope one day you guys grow up and realize that this stuff is fake. No one believes it's real. Okay. One of the amazing things about the internet is, you go into websites like YouTube and stuff like that, and you can find video after video after video that somebody posts and says, proof that professional wrestling is fake. And I just sit there in utter amazement that somebody would expend their time doing stuff like this. Because, I mean, come on, is there anybody who doesn't know that this is a show and that they call it sports entertainment for a reason? They don't call it a sport. Yeah, I think there's a legal precedence on that, as a matter of fact. I think some wrestling promoters actually got in trouble for calling it a sport, hence the dawn of the name sports entertainment. Yes, the outcomes are known. So to this guy whom wrote me I guess it was about a week and a half ago, I'm going to respond to you with this. Dear moron, We know what it is. We know what it is not. You say you listened to one of our shows, but you didn't hear a word we said. How many times have we sat in here and made reference to the writers and the stages and different things like this? How can you be so possibly stupid? Now, ordinarily, I would not respond to anybody like you with this, but I figured there are plenty of other people in this world who had a hard time making it through their public education, as you apparently did. So I will say this to you. Now, Chip, I got to tell you, this guy would probably love it. I mean, he would just absolutely love it if I mentioned his name right here on the air. Okay, that being said, let's move on with the show. That's my 2 minutes worth. 3-4 minutes worth, whatever. Anyway, I feel better now.
Maybe we should give him like a horrible gimmick name.
I don't know if moron would work, but that would. I looked at that and I was just, what? Really? Are you kidding me?
I think he is now known as the new Twinkie the Kid.
The new Twinkie the Kid.
It's actually a real wrestler, apparently. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well,
it's.
We know what wrestling is. Yeah. We know what it's not.
I mean, you said it perfectly. How many times have we? I think we've actually said on the show that yes, we know that wrestling is fake.
I wonder if this guy went to see one of the Star Wars movies and he walked out going, there really is not a planet called Alderaan. I mean, come on. It's called suspension of disbelief, folks. And by the way, yes, people do get hurt. People have died. Injuries are real. They do happen. And that's why you hear the disclaimers. Don't try this at home, because people can and do get hurt, and sometimes very, very seriously.
Oh, absolutely.
I wonder how many deaths have happened in performance. I know there have been quite a few. The most famous being, of course, Owen Hart.
Well, that happened.
Well, it wasn't in the match, but it was during a performance.
Oh, it was during a pay-per-view.
Yeah, during a live performance.
During a live performance. I mean, no one saw it, except for people in the audience. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean... and
I dare you to try to find a video of that on YouTube. You cannot.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, it just doesn't exist.
Well, of course, you got to think back then there wasn't cell phones or cameras back then either.
Yeah, and if that were to happen at a show now, I mean, it would be everywhere.
Oh, it would be all over the place.
It would absolutely be everywhere.
Or at least the after effect, because no one saw that coming.
But, this is in the same regards of stuntmen in the movies. Yes, when you go to a movie, you see the stunts. These are all planned. Everybody knows what they're going to do. But injuries do happen in that too. And this is exactly in the same category. This is in the exact same category as that. So, when you hear us talking about this, we're talking about the characters, we're talking about the writers. And do we sometimes invoke a bit of reality into it? Well, sure we do. But so do they. Even the wrestlers will have, finally the industry itself has come forward and say, hey, we're a show. That's what we do. Sometimes real personalities do come into play, and real feuds do erupt. Real fights do happen. They're rare, but they do happen. To say real fights don't happen in professional wrestling is like saying real fights don't happen in hockey. Yes, it does. But not as frequent as, what the storylines would lead you to believe. But, dude, we know what this is. Now, as far as that's concerned, we need to get on with our lives, and you need to get one. Okay, I'm through.
And the folks, that was WB Ward's Soapbox Corner.
Yes.
Brought to you by...
I have made a friend.
Go screw yourself.
Go screwyourself.com. Yeah. And I bet you there's a website with that.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Anywho,
WWE Performance Center.
This is just an absolutely unbelievable facility WWE has come up with, and they're putting it down in Orlando, aren't they?
Yeah, it is in Orlando.
Excuse me. This is 26,000 square feet, 7 training rings, a world-class strength and conditioning program. They're also including in this, and this is what I think is really cool. It's not just the wrestling that they're training; it's also the technical staff. The video production unit has their own editing bays, production facility, state-of-the-art equipment, broadcast equipment, in-ring training. They're even training people for physical preparedness, character development, and on even how to do a promo, how to stand up and talk to people. I mean, this is just, have you ever been in a training center?
Yes.
Most of the ones I've ever been in, I don't know about you, but the ones I've been in, it's usually just like an empty shell barn and a ring. That's it.
I did some independent wrestling, or I started to back when I was 19 years old.
Oh.
And it was in a rolling skating rink. Mm-hmm. And so we hung around until they were done roller skating, and then we had to set up the ring. And then we trained, they kicked our butts, and then we had to tear down the ring. So, yeah, I mean, for something like this to happen, I mean, it's going to be able to help these young performers out. I'm not going to say young performers because a lot of these guys are quite a bit older than people think. But be able to develop these guys and get them the characters that they need. If we look at just the past year, mm-hmm. as far as their developmental, they've been able to push out the Shield. All three of those guys came from the same type of developmental. The Wyatt family, same three.
Yes.
Same three guys.
Now the Wyatt family to me is solid evidence that this is a good idea.
So they're working. I mean, things are working. They're doing everything right. And what's even great is the talent that is still to come, because there are some spectacular wrestlers that are still in the NXT developmental area, and a lot of cruiserweights as well. A lot of guys are high flyers. I think they're really kind of start to look for that next Rey Mysterio, and they have a guy down. They actually have two guys now that are that, if not better.
You know, I would like to go down there and check out their VO booth. That stands for voiceover. This is a practice room designed for announcers announcers in training to work with WWE seasoned professionals.
Really?
Yeah, where they can actually hone their play-by-play skills, and because that actually takes practice. That's a lot of work.
That's not easy.
You know, that is something, and I can speak firsthand on that, and I think you can too. The ability to do play-by-play and color commentating is definitely a talent. And it's something that needs to be honed. So I'm glad they're even including that.
And you're only as strong as the person that's sitting next to you.
That's true.
So you need someone that's just as quick and witty as you are to be able to do it correctly.
Are you kidding, man? On my dating life, I used to date a girl that would reward my romantic evenings with food, and it usually wind up getting something like Minuteman orange juice.
Minuteman orange juice?
Yeah, a glass of Nestle's Quick. So, no, I'm probably not a good example of this.
I just got that.
Yeah, well, you're not as quick.
It took me at least 30 seconds.
Yeah, she served me a bowl of minute rice after. Where were we? Okay, yeah, okay. Now, I understand.
2 minutes in heaven's better than 1 minute in heaven.
That's true. Now, what's this about a former diva possibly coming back?
According to... Hold on, let me check the source.
Okay.
Because it said Splash.
Splash?
Yeah, and to my knowledge, I'm not for sure what that is.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay. Splash.
Because I want to give these people their due credit.
All right. Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's being... Splash is now reporting... You want to take a guess? Former diva.
It's got to be either Sable or Chana.
No.
No?
Stacy Keibler.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
She just got out of her relationship with George Clooney.
Well,
and
I don't blame her.
And Splash is reporting that she is in talks with WWE to return to be paired up with
Hornswoggle? They could call him a Keebler Elf.
Beautiful.
I mean, that's not a bad idea.
Guys,
that's not a bad idea.
Connecticut, you just heard it.
Yes. A Keebler Elf. Hornswoggle.
Well,
Cookies for everybody.
Daniel Bryan.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Oh. And I'm amazed that I have this attitude towards Bryan because I love him as a performer. I think he's a great wrestler. I think he's one of the better people on, but matching him up with babes, that's just heartbreaking.
I don't see any reason behind it.
No.
Because you would match him.
Hornswoggle would be better.
But what would we do with Hornswoggle?
Just a Keebler Elf. All he has to do is be there.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like one of Bella's boobs. He doesn't have to do anything. He just has to be there.
It's because she needs to be paired up with someone that obviously needs help.
Okay.
Getting over. So It is kind of surprising.
It is. It is indeed. But
I would love to see those legs come back.
Now you got a point there. Huh? No argument. No argument there. What is this accountability thing with Scott Hall?
Now you might not be aware of this, but Diamond Dallas Page,
yes,
does like a DDP yoga, and he's set up an accountability house to where struggling wrestlers can go to live in this house, which is DDP's house, and they hold themselves accountable. So it's kind of an accountability house. And Jake Snake Roberts has lived there. He still does. And
really?
And Scott Hall's been there for about 6 months.
Is he still on the wagon?
Who?
The guy you just said.
Jake Snake Roberts?
Yeah.
He had a little problem come back up the past couple weeks. Yeah. Which has led to Scott Hall leaving the house. Oh. It's kind of sad, because these guys struggle with internal demons, with alcohol and drug abuse. So it's really sad to see these guys. But Scott Hall has completely done a 1080 and has really turned around his life. And so, we wish him the luck. It's going to be an even bigger hill to climb now that he's out of this kind of controlled environment.
So he's moving out, but he's not like graduating out of it.
No.
Oh, that's
he's just moving out.
Okay.
But I don't think there's any kind of graduation to it.
Yeah.
But he's moving out. Apparently he's going to live with his son, which he's been staying with anyways at the accountability house. So we wish him luck. He looks really good. He's lost a lot of weight. He looks in good shape. And I wouldn't mind seeing him as a surprise entrant in the 2014 Royal Rumble.
I think Scott Hall is a dynamite performer. I think he would make a huge asset to the show if they would have him back.
Huge pop.
I think so
pop.
indeed.
Just because a lot of people understand what he's been through.
Yeah.
ESPN did a whole 30-minute piece on him about his struggles, and it was bad.
How much do you think his age would play against him?
Not like only 54.
Well,
if Ric Flair can do it at 65.
Well, no, that's true. Well, no, it's Scott Hall. All due respect to Scott Hall, but he's not Ric Flair.
That's true. But I think he can still, we're not saying part-time or full-time performer, but be able to go in there and give one or two good spots in the Royal Rumble.
Right.
He could definitely do that.
Oh, he would definitely help somebody go over.
Jimmy Snuka can do it.
Oh, yeah. And Snuka, gosh, you can just hear the cans of WD-40 whipping out in the back area whenever he comes out. So, okay, let's go on to the tweet of the week here.
The tweet of the week. We need bumper music for the tweet of the week.
I think we do need some bumper music, and I have a feeling we have some coming up in our very near future, right about now.
Oh, wow. Beautiful. Beautiful.
That was good.
So this comes from a Twitter handle called WWE Creative Humor.
Okay.
Which they basically kind of just give like their 2 cents on WWE Creative. So I chose this one. It goes, doing 3 hours of Raw wouldn't be so bad if we could just hand over 1 hour, one of those hours to Daniel Bryan. Yes!
Oh,
yes!
Here we go with the Bryan stuff.
Yes!
Just don't fix him up with a babe. That's all I'm going to ask, man. Don't fix him up with a babe. Save that for somebody credible on that.
So what's coming up?
Oh, man, we're going to be looking at the Raw recap, and I got to tell you, I can tell you this much. Monday Night Raw was probably one of the best episodes that I've seen in a long time. All that and more is still to come right here on SCI Wrestling.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck for Dave 2037 so he can buy anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman. What are you getting Steve 2037?
Steve 2037 will be just fine.
Well, okay, but don't expect to borrow my anti-gravity boots.
Save something for the future. Put away a few bucks. Feel like $1 million. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, how do you throw a curveball? How do you build a fort? How do refrigerators run? How do fish learn how to swim?
Kids ask a lot of questions.
How high can you jump?
But you don't have to know every answer.
How many phone numbers are there?
Because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent.
How do cell phones work?
There are thousands of children in foster care who don't need every question answered.
What's electricity?
They just need you.
What's the moon made of?
For more information on how you can adopt, go to adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Yeah, Monday Night Raw was definitely an interesting show this week. Now, with your power outages, how much of that show did you actually get to see?
I got through about 3/4 of it.
I saw the entire thing.
Okay.
And when I say I saw the entire thing, I mean I saw the entire thing. And if there are all kinds of internet buzz about this, so I know a lot of people they know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, we'll get to that here in just a moment. I love what they're doing with John Cena and Daniel Bryan. I love the idea that Cena's picked Bryan. How do you think that that's going?
It's going well. I think John Cena is really he's doing a good job of feeding energy to Daniel Bryan.
Now, the only thing that I didn't understand Monday was at the beginning of the show, they started out with the contract signing between Bryan and Cena.
Right.
After the contract is signed, the storyline all of a sudden turns to Brad Maddox turning to Daniel Bryan saying, "Oh, you need to prove yourself." And I couldn't help but think, what the hell does he need to prove? He just signed a contract to wrestle John Cena. What's the point in proving anything? He's obviously already proved it, or he wouldn't have been offered a contract.
Well, the proof is, why he didn't deserve to get the title shot in the first place.
To me, it seems like the writers have done this bass-ackwards. I mean, they should have done this proving thing like, several episodes before the contract signing.
Did you say bass ass?
Bass-ackwards, yes.
Okay, just making sure.
No, I said bass-ackwards.
Okay.
I think they just took this out of... now, I enjoyed the matches. Bryant going through the gauntlet of Swagger, Cesaro, and Ryback.
And that's what I missed.
Now the thing about Swagger and Cesaro coming out, they came out together. So once he started wrestling Swagger, it only took a person with the intelligence of a mushroom to figure out his next one is going to be Cesaro.
Makes sense.
Ryback was a total surprise, even to me. And I couldn't help but wonder if they actually might have held that back from Bryan until Showtime. Because Bryan, he's a good wrestler, he's a good performer, but he's not a real good actor. But I found his part to be totally believable when he was looked up and Ryback walked out on the stage and Daniel Bryan had this look of, oh crap, on his face. It was one of the better reactions that I've seen.
How'd Ryback do?
Ryback did okay. And of course, after the match was over with, John Cena did keep his promise to Bryant that he wasn't going to come out and interfere in the matches. However, he did come out after the match was over because Daniel Bryan won by disqualification on that. And after he was declared the winner, then Cena came out and started popping all over Ryback, and they're now going to have a match coming up, I think, in the pay-per-view between Ryback. No, not in the pay-per-view, but between Ryback and Cena. That might be on the next Monday Night Raw.
Which is taped, by the way.
Monday Night Raw is taped?
Well, this coming up week was. That's going to appear next Monday.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a first.
I don't know why they have to do it that way.
Has that ever happened before with Monday Night Raw?
It has
I don't
before.
think it has. Has it really?
Back when they used to have those dog shows on USA Network.
Oh, that's right.
The Westminster Dog Show.
Yes.
And which used to piss me off quite a bit. They would tape Raw and do it like on a different night.
That's right. I forgot about that.
But I don't think that's the case for this. So I'm not really 100% sure why they taped it. But yeah, they've already taped it, actually. I
love the crowd's reaction when they uttered the name Eddie Guerrero.
That was so cool.
That was. Eddie Guerrero has a legacy that will really be hard to live up to.
Absolutely. And of course, they are near as, Eddie Guerrero's from Texas, and they were in Austin, Texas last night, or Monday night.
Sure.
So, but still, I think he would gotten that reaction anywhere. But it's really good to see someone that put decades into the business that was unfortunately taken way before his time, still get a nice little pop even after 8 years.
How do you think, if you could really play devil's advocate here, how do you think Guerrero would react to the way his widow is being used in the WWE?
I think he'd be all right with it.
As a wrestler, I think he would.
Yeah.
I think one of the first things Eddie would say would be, Vicky, my God, go to Weight Watchers.
Now, because before he passed, Vicky was starting to be in the angles. A
little bit, yeah. They were having her on camera a lot.
Yeah,
more.
They were starting to have her, especially in the Rey Mysterio angle. She was very much involved in that, which led to that famous YouTube video of when Rey faced Eddie in SummerSlam. Mm-hmm. and she was supposed to come out and push over the ladder, I think, but she didn't.
Yeah.
And so Eddie got really pissed and was screaming in the ring at the ref, where the F is Vicky? Because she apparently missed a spot.
Oh man, but you're right. He was taken way before his time. And and you mentioned he's from Texas, and they were in Texas, Laredo, Texas, and I used to live there. But I got to tell you though, the only place where I'm going to kind of part ways with you on this is I don't think Texas really had anything to do with that.
And I agree,
because I think they would have gotten that reaction from Guerrero anywhere.
And that's the reason I specified it probably would have happened anywhere.
By the way, on the retro, going back to the gauntlet match, when the guy with the handlebar mustache with Swagger and Cesaro, what's that guy's name?
Zeb Coulter.
Uncle Zeb. Boy, you should have heard him unlanding on the people of Laredo. Because for those of you who are geographically challenged, as I usually am, but like I said, I used to live there, on this side of the river, it's Laredo, Texas. On the other side of the river, it's Nuevo Laredo, New Mexico. And it's a popular crossing point. Boy, Zeb Coulter.
Boy, he
rode that donkey almost all the way down to the ring.
Apparently he shoots everything.
I'm surprised nobody has shot him. I mean,
you're right.
I think he's got to be nervous going into places like Laredo, Texas, spouting off.
Well, they're in Austin.
Because he said something to the effect of a lot of people are coming over here, crossing over the Rio Grande River, and I bet a lot of you here did that earlier today.
Oh,
I mean, he just really got point blank with that.
Ooh.
Wow.
Well,
wow.
He is very conservative in real life.
And there's nothing wrong with being conservative. I'm as conservative as they come.
Me too.
But my gosh.
But he
use some common sense.
I'm really surprised that they let him go as far as they do, because every bit that he is saying is him. I think he halfway believes, or probably 90% of what he says he believes.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but I think you're right.
So, which, some of the best characters come as themselves, just turned up a little bit more.
Now, Brad Maddox.
Yeah, I put that on there. What do you think of his performance so far?
Up until now, I haven't been that impressed with him. I think he's doing okay as general manager. I don't like his wimpish style. I think he kind of plays that a little too wimpish. I think they could kind of tone him up a bit, but he's just kind of seems like he's just picking up where Vicky left off, playing the role of being caught between the rock and the hard place thing. I think he's playing it about as good as can be played. I think he does fine on his own whenever the McMahons are not around. I think he's a lot more believable. But once the McMahons do come into the scene, I'm not buying his performance as somebody who's trying to kiss up to whoever happens to be close by. To me, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and I've enjoyed him here the past couple weeks. But one thing that's really struck me that I wish creative would do differently is let him do less of a script.
Yeah,
because there's points of the show where it's just blatantly obvious where he's just quoting a piece of paper.
Yeah,
and so
you can actually hear his eyes moving from word to word.
Exactly,
yeah.
And so it comes off unnatural, which is not good. But whenever he seems like when he's comfortable and when he speaks comfortable, it's more real. And that's what I really would like to see more out of him. And which isn't his fault. He's probably just told, here's your piece of paper. You read this word to word or you're fired. Which is unfortunate, because I think if he got a little more freedom, I'd love to see what he can do.
He needs to go down to the training camp.
That's true.
I think he could benefit from that, going into the room where they work on talking and selling promos.
Absolutely.
I think he would be well advised to do that. But what do I know? What do I know?
We're just a radio show.
Sheamus versus Del Rio. I'm really becoming disappointed in Sheamus.
Did you see that bruise on his leg?
I saw. That's interesting. The bruise that he had on Monday night was not in appearance the same bruise that he had a couple of nights later on Main Event.
Really?
There appeared to be some kind of difference. Now, the bruise that they were showing on Monday night looked very, very genuine.
Yeah, it did.
The bruise that I saw on a couple of nights later on Main Event almost looked like makeup.
Really?
It was a lot smoother. It was blended out. It didn't have the venular look that a bruise should have. And I think maybe he was healing a little too quick.
Oh, well, I mean, he's probably superhuman.
And I would have to compare the two tapes together, but I'm not so 100% convinced they were actually on the same leg.
Now, oh, really?
I might be wrong on that.
Okay.
I might be wrong because I don't have the recording of Main Event anymore.
Now, one thing that I'm excited about. I don't want to say excited because I never want to down any person's performance because he's worked really hard to probably get where he's at.
Yes.
But as a character and as a face, I can't stand where he's at. But we're witnessing a fall of Sheamus.
You think he's going back heel?
Sooner or later.
Or do you think he's just going?
I think he's going to heel sometime. Don't know when. I don't see it in the future because you will see Randy Orton turn heel, I believe.
Yeah, he can't do anything but turn heel.
Exactly. So I don't see how or when they'll be able to do it to Sheamus. But it's really interesting to see how they're really kind of giving up on him.
Yeah.
I know you're a fan.
Yeah, and I am. This is one place where, as you know, I disagree with you. I think he makes a great face. I think it was a good story of bad guy turns good. And I think the way he has been doing it up until now has been believable. However, I think they're just taking this thing between him and Del Rio just completely way too far. And it is now just going unbelievable. By the way, speaking of Del Rio, do you think they're ever going to bring back his ring announcer? I hope they don't myself. Because I think Del Rio is a lot better without him.
I've been really impressed with him without him. I think he's done a fantastic job as a heel without his ring announcer. I think they still are going to bring him back.
I do too. And in fact, I think the way they're going to bring him back is he's going to come back in trying to be the ring announcer again, and Del Rio's going to spurn him off. And all of a sudden, you're going to notice this guy becoming a face wrestler.
I can see that. I could definitely see that. It'd be interesting to see what creative thinks of Del Rio and how he's done without him, because that's where it's all going to come down to. If they feel like he can still continue with just himself as a top heel, then yeah, I can see him dumping.
But his ring announcer's not a wrestler.
He can wrestle.
Can he?
Yeah, he just doesn't look like he can.
You're not kidding. I mean, we're talking Pillsbury Doughboy. I hope he's working while he's in suspension. I hope he's going to the gym.
Well, yeah. We'll see.
Maybe he's down at the center in Orlando.
That'd be interesting to see. Like, if you're suspended for 30 days, wellness wise, if you're allowed to be able to still go down there and work.
Okay, Punk versus Heyman, and the best versus the Beast. I do like that.
I do like that title.
Yeah, title is good, and I loved Heyman's response when he said the Beast is the best. No, the best is the Beast.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Yeah.
This is possibly, and this is for me is a hard pill to swallow because I never did care much for Brock Lesnar. I never did like him very much as a wrestler, but I do have to admit I love this angle that they're taking.
Yeah,
I love this. I think this is a very strong story that they've been able to build.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really great at SummerSlam. Like I said last week, I don't think that they should have done a SummerSlam. I think they should have held out for WrestleMania on this one. But that means that they are saving something really, even cooler for WrestleMania.
Well, you're really cutting them a lot of slack.
What? Oh, I know.
You're really cutting them a lot of slack. I hope you're right.
Yeah, I hope I'm right too, because I really think that they should have had a Curtis Axel angle of CM Punk, and SummerSlam would have been a perfect stage.
Keep in mind though, you're talking about the same people who are writing lines for Brad Maddox too. So
that's true. That's true.
That part of it has me a little nervous.
So it starts to make a little more sense.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to rush this along because there's one part here I really can't wait to get to.
Let's just skip to it.
Okay. Man alive, I love watching the Bellas.
So
man alive.
Let me just specify the fact that I said in the first segment that Bill and I never talk about anything of the show.
Yeah.
But as soon as I walked in that door of the studio, he said,
I couldn't hold back.
Did you watch the Diva segment? I go, I heard about it. He goes, oh, I already have it queued for you.
Yeah. I had that puppy ready to go.
Oh my goodness.
Man, you tell you the truth, it happened so quick. I didn't notice it. I saw it on the internet and I thought, I don't remember seeing that. And I still had it on the DVR. So I went back and played it and I went, I'll be. Now, for those of you who don't know, or maybe if you live in a tree, you haven't heard yet, one of the Bellas, in an effort, I guess, to gain national exposure.
No.
Gain some national exposure as she was sitting in her chair on the, in the ring during the Miz TV. A little bit more of her left breast was showing than probably what they were planning on. I mean, we're talking, yeah, there was no question. Once you know it's there, it's hard to miss.
Apparently it's pretty cold in that arena.
Yes. That'll give you something to hang your
But
head on.
apparently, Eva Marie, who's the redhead new diva that's kind of feuding with them, apparently she actually loves the Bellas in real life. And she would.
So do I.
And she went to Twitter and kind of just like went off with some people that thought it was a publicity stunt.
No, there's no way it's a publicity stunt. That's what they call an accident.
Yeah, I actually think it's a true accident. She just didn't know her boob was out.
And it worked. By golly, I've never, I haven't had so much fun watching TV, and I think I've worn out my DVR playing that back.
In fact, I'm staring at a TV right now where it's paused to where the segment is.
See if I got.
Just press play.
Here it comes. There he is, right there. There it is.
Oh, there it is. There it is. You think her sister? Because her sister was kind of looking at her. You think she?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to speculate as to whether anybody in the ring noticed it or not. I would be curious if anybody in the control room noticed it when it happened, because you'd be surprised how much.
Because you have to look for it.
You do have to look for it. And if you've ever been in a television control room during a live broadcast, which I've been through many of them, you would be surprised what can slip by everybody in the room.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, you would really be surprised what can slip by, because there's just everybody is
slip.
Yes, I did. But I mean, everybody's so engrossed in the jobs that they are doing. The Chiron operator is, very intent on getting all the spelling of the words right on the screen, and the audio guy is mixing, and that's of course the area I was in. The producer and the director are sitting there just simply calling the shots, and they're looking at other things on the screen other than watching somebody's boob fall out. So they probably didn't notice it right off the bat. And I'm wondering if anybody during the live broadcast actually saw it happen during the show itself. Man, that was, I am now.
Props to the person that found it, though.
Oh, absolutely. Had it not, thank God for the internet, I would never have gone back and watched that episode over again. And I bet you anything that's going to be one of the most played, episodes of Raw in a long time. Man,
Boy, we only got through half the page.
There's a lot of good things happening here. I love the storyline with Ziggler, AJ, and Big E Langston. I love where that's going.
I'm excited to see that at SummerSlam.
I saw, I could see this one coming a long time ago where Big E and AJ would have an affair.
Right.
I thought it would happen a lot sooner than this.
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Big E is as well. I'm wondering if he can live up to his name.
Apparently, and also rumors around online is there's going to be a possible big push for Christian as a babyface.
Could be.
Which is probably why he beat one of the lame time players last night.
Let me back up to Big E and AJ for a moment.
Go ahead.
Do you recall any time in professional wrestling, not just WWE, but any time where they did have a relationship as part of the storyline, and it was an interracial relationship? I can remember one.
What do you remember?
And it was still a relationship. It was goofy, but it was still a relationship, and that was between Sexual Chocolate.
Oh, Mark Henry and Mae Young?
Mark Henry and Mae Young.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a real cartoonish, that was a cartoonish thing, but it was an interracial relationship.
But I can't recall anything.
And I'm sure Mark Henry would rather not recall that.
I bet he loved that because it got him over.
It did. It did indeed.
Got him over.
It did indeed, and probably gave him a stomach of iron.
I'm excited about our next segment. Go ahead.
Okay, man. Okay, the next segment we got. Excuse me while I cough. Hello. 'Tis the season to be sneezing, folks. Okay, we're gonna be looking at some of the worst gimmicks ever. He has his list of the top 5 worst. I have my list of the top 5 worst gimmicks in professional wrestling. And I'm wondering how much of this we are actually going to be duplicating each other. And if we have time, we may come back and fill in some of the gaps on Monday Night Raw, because there was an awful lot that we did leave out of this one just because of time restraint. I'm glad we went with the 1-hour format. So stick around. We got more of SCI Wrestling coming your way.
Make sure your child is up with the alarm and ready for school each morning, because missing just 18 days, even in middle school, will put their graduation at risk. It's up to you. Learn more at boostup.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
So when you get to the corner of Smith and Orchard, you're going to want to take a
left.
left.
You are not going to
Then what you're going to
this.
do is turn onto Marcy
and Brett
Avenue.
just broke up,
and go past the first
apparently
3
she's
lights,
happy
and then
about
take
it.
the next left.
I don't really
then drive
think
5
she's
more
happy,
blocks,
but
and you should be
who
there.
am I to judge, right?
Park on the
Anyway,
right.
That's
I'll
what
see
I
you
heard
later
last
tonight.
night.
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Repo Man.
Oh, speaking of bad gimmicks. Yeah, that's a...
I need to scratch that one off my list now. Never mind. I wrote it down, but it's not one of my top
Believe
5.
it or not, he's not on my list either. But it was not what you call a really good gimmick, the Repo Man. I think
Poor guy.
Didn't that start out with some kind of a storyline about him repossessing somebody's championship belt?
Yeah, it did.
That's what I was thinking.
Now, do you know who the wrestler was that did it?
Not a clue.
It was the guy, one of the members of Demolition.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It didn't look anything like him.
Well, some of the, at least on my top 5 gimmicks, there's some pretty big wrestlers involved in this. But, hey, they all do what they're paid to do. So, and a good performer will do his or her best at playing a bad role. But sometimes, unfortunately, I don't care how you polish a dog turd, it's still a dog turd.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, since you had this marvelous idea for this segment, I'm going to let you go first with your top 5.
Oh, okay, give me a second. I'm tweeting the picture.
Okay. Oh, he's tweeting a picture.
Tweeting a picture of SCI Wrestling.
He tweets in public.
SCI_Wrestling.
Oh, okay. A little shameless plug there. Nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
That'd be just like me, just for no reason, going WBWard.com. So, anyway. Talk about shameless plugs.
So, we'll start at 5? Yeah, we'll start at 5.
Okay.
All right. We'll go back and forth. I'll give my 5th, you give your 5th.
Okay.
Number 5, I have someone that's more recent, probably the most recent one on my list, Tensai.
You thought Tensai was a bad gimmick?
Here's why.
Okay.
You took a guy from Japan.
Yes.
Who is very, very well known in Japan.
Yes.
You took someone that was also very well known in the Attitude Era.
Yes.
Prince Albert.
Yes.
And then you bring him back and write Chinese lettering on his face and call him Tensai. How in the world did they think this gimmick was going to work in the first place?
I think it could have worked. Granted, it didn't go over.
No.
It didn't go over.
They gave up on it way too soon. I think what they should have done with the angle is, because immediately they saw that, okay, this Tensai didn't work.
Right.
No brainer there. And they should have just had, I'm going to call him Prince Albert, because that's what he used to be called.
Yes.
Be able to transform, almost like he was upset that they made him do this gimmick.
Were the writing on his head, was that an actual tattoo?
No.
Okay, I was just wondering because he still has an awful lot of it.
It's true. I think they still make him writing on his face, but that is not a tattoo. Okay. Now all the stuff on his body, yeah, all the stuff on the body is straight up tattoo.
Yeah. Okay, my number 5.
Go ahead.
Gobbledygooker. That was the stupidest. That was the stupidest. I should have put that in number 1, but
it's a good one.
That was the first thing that came to my mind when you said bad gimmicks.
I thought you would have that on your list, so I didn't put it on my list because I figured you would have it. Oh, I remember that Survivor Series.
Yeah, and they had the big egg.
Yeah, they had the big egg.
It wasn't the first or last time WWE has laid an egg.
That's we're getting ready to name 8 more.
That's true.
But yeah, it was just bad. Hector Guerrero, who was the wrestler that betrayed the Gobbledygooker, and Mean Gene Okerlund, seeing him have to stand up there by the egg
and try to talk about it seriously,
and try to keep a straight face.
Well, the yoke was on him. Man,
oh, beautiful!
It's proof that sometimes the announcing jobs are really, really tough to pull off too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what's your number 4?
Number 4, in that same era, Mantar.
Yeah. Now he almost made my list.
God.
Mantar. I mean, just what do you do with a big fat tub of? Who was that guy?
I have no clue.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason for that.
Yeah. But they put a giant bullhead.
Yeah.
And expect him to go through the ring ropes.
Thank goodness that one didn't last.
Oh, good Lord.
And equally so with my fourth one, I'm surprised this wrestler could hold this out as long as he did, but the gimmick of the Red Rooster was the one.
I love Terry Taylor. Oh!
Terry Taylor's a great guy. He's a great wrestler.
Hey, look at my shirt.
Oh, yeah, it does say Red Rooster.
Look at that.
I'll be darned.
Look at that. Barbershopwindow.com. There you go.
But I think the... even barbershopwindow.com has got to admit that just was stupid.
Oh, that's the reason they produced the shirt.
And I honestly didn't notice that shirt.
I know.
I did not notice
that's why I was like, oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
But no, I mean, Terry had to go, man, do I have to do my hair that way again? But no, this is a classic example of what I was talking about earlier. He's a seasoned pro. He knows what he's doing, and he's given a part, and he did it the best he could. But no matter how much you polish a dog turd, it's still a dog turd.
And apparently he hated that game.
I'm sure he did.
And he won't talk about it. That's one of those angles that he just won't talk about.
I don't blame him.
I was a kid when that came out, so I was a fan of the Red Rooster character. But I did feel bad later on when I came to appreciate Terry Taylor as a performer. Mm-hmm. I felt really bad for him.
Well, it is kind of interesting. I didn't notice it until just now looking at my list, but my first two entries both deal with chickens. I mean, well, one's a rooster, but
do the other three?
No.
No? Okay,
no.
Good. No. Now, I might lose you on a couple of my other ones.
Go ahead.
My number 3 came from WCW.
Mm-hmm. As did mine, by the way.
Oh, who?
I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, you're number 3?
You're
okay.
First.
Glacier.
I don't remember Glacier.
Yeah, good job. Glacier was a...
Sounds like an idea that probably melted.
It melted very fast. Do you remember Mortal Kombat?
Yes.
Okay, that's exactly where this angle came from.
Okay.
They brought it from the Mortal Kombat, video game movie, from the Sub-Zero character to where the guy would come out in these huge, erratic costume with the mask on, and he would pretend that he's a ninja, and that they never acted like he had superpowers, but it wouldn't surprise me if they tried. In fact, they brought in another wrestler by the name of, oh goodness gracious, to compete against Glacier, just like a Mortal Kombat.
They should have brought in a big fat guy and named him Titanic.
Well, that's about as fast as the angle went down. It went as quick as the Titanic.
Yeah. All right. My next one also come from WCW, and this guy hit upon two things that touched me personally, and I was truly embarrassed by this one. It was a wrestler who wrestled under the name Fantasio.
Oh, yeah.
He combined pro wrestling, mime, and magic.
Yes.
And poor old Gorilla Monsoon had to sit there and act like he was watching the birth of Christ.
I'll be honest, that was WWF. That was not WCW.
No, he started in WCW. He did make an appearance finally in WWF.
Okay.
But it did start in WCW.
Gorilla Monsoon was always in WWF.
Monsoon was, yes, you're right. Monsoon was in WWF. And I did hear a YouTube video and listened to Gorilla Monsoon it was just shameful. It was just embarrassing. It was just embarrassing. I
do remember, actually, I saw the YouTube video of him a couple months ago, and I thought about you, just because you do have a background in illusionist performing. So, yeah, I thought that was... I was actually scared.
Those are two arts that you should not mix.
I was scared that you were going to give off my number 1 there. There for a moment. But
let's go into number 2, because I have a feeling you and I have tied number 2. I bet you we did.
WWF... Isaac Yankem.
He was on my list, and I took him off. He was in my second place.
Was he?
And I took him off.
Oh, well, I'm glad you did.
Isaac Yankem, that was it was a tough call to make, because I really wanted to have him on my list.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We did almost tie that.
Now, of course, Isaac Yankem came from Jerry Lawler's personal dentist.
Yes.
And he was brought in to compete with Bret Hart. Because Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler were feuding at the time, so they brought in his personal dentist to take care of... Boy, what a hitman. Hiring your dentist to take care of your...
And the name was just stupid.
Oh, Dwight Yankem.
not Dwight Yoakam, Isaac Yoakam.
Isaac Yoakam, I'm sorry.
But, you know,
Dwight Yoakam, is he a singer?
Dwight Yoakam was.
Yoakam, that's it. Thank you.
You know, that's like the old joke of the lawyers from the law firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. I mean, it's just, you know, that's just, it was almost like
it's very cheesy, just like a lot of characters were back then. Because a lot of the characters that we're talking about came from that same era. The Repo Man, the Mantar,
that was back when wrestlers had titles.
Yeah, Gobbledygooker was probably a little bit before that.
Yeah.
But yeah, same era. Now, of course, those who don't know, Isaac Yoakam did go on to be very successful in WWE.
He sure did.
As the fake Diesel.
Yes. So this guy's a good wrestler, another good performer.
Yeah.
He was doing his best to polish a dog turd.
And and it's really cool to see him succeed, you know, because he went from Dwight Yoakam, then he gets a call. We want you to be the fake Diesel. Oh God, really? But then I
loved his dental work.
Oh yeah,
his dental work was great.
But then you get another call. We want you to be the Undertaker's younger brother, and you got to think that he probably wasn't too hip on the idea, but he's like, okay, I'll do it.
After a while, the guy's got to feel like a bastard child in a custody battle.
Exactly, but he was able to take Kane and turn it into a really great gimmick, and that stand the test of time. The longest reigning character in WWE besides the Undertaker.
Okay, my second place, and see, we almost did tie, but I thought you would have had this one in second place. My second place worst gimmick of all time was Shockmaster.
It's on my list.
Shockmaster, the guy that wore the stormtrooper's helmet, the blue glitter, and the guy that fell on his butt. That did I steal your thunder in your number one position?
No.
Oh, okay. But no, that was just stupid.
That was bad.
And I forget exactly how it happened, but you know, he was on some kind of set and he fell through a partition.
Because I've watched this video so many times now. I've read so many stories about it. First of all, do you know who the character was?
No.
Tugboat.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that.
Was Tugboat.
Yes.
And they were doing a gimmick to where Harlem Heat, Psycho Sid, and somewhere else were battling Sting, the British Bulldog, and somewhere else. And this was supposed to be a surprise partner of Sting's. So they made up this huge thing, and they actually practiced this angle already of him coming through the wall. They practiced it already before they did the taping.
So practice does not make perfect.
But unfortunately, they used a 2x4 on the bottom of the wall that he just destroyed a couple hours before that, and they forgot to tell him the 2x4 was there. So Steve gave this huge thing, we called upon the Shockmaster, and he goes to the wall and trips over that 2x4.
He falls on his ass.
And then you hear, I forget who, there was someone you can hear in the background kind of laugh. I think it might have been Booker T of Harlem Heat kind of laugh. And then you got Ole Anderson do his voice. So you got Tugboat struggling around trying to find his helmet. And Dusty Rhodes is the one that created it. He's the one that admitted that he created it, and it completely backfired in his face.
So that was the beginning and end of the career of the Shockmaster.
Oh boy.
Okay.
They actually kept him going.
Who made your number one pick the worst all-time gimmick?
Are we going to put a drum roll in this?
Yeah.
Okay, pause. Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah, the WCW attack on Jim Ross.
Yes. I said that from not only was that a absolute horrendous angle from the standpoint of that was a bad angle, as far as tastefulness goes, and having some common respect for another human being's conditions that they have is completely different.
Yeah.
Ed Ferreira, who left WBE to go work for WCW, is the one that portrayed Oklahoma and completely wrecked who Jim Ross is as an individual, because Jim Ross at the time was suffering from was still palsy.
Yeah.
And
some kind of a palsy on his face.
Palsy on his face. And they completely took advantage of that and pretended that, you know, his Oklahoma character had the same kind of condition. They brought in Steve, Dr. Death Williams, to be his bodyguard, and just totally ripped apart the human being that is Jim Ross.
You know, they made several mistakes on that. First off, of course, as you mentioned, they were making fun of somebody with a disorder. That's just a big no-no. Second off, they were making fun of somebody who's actually beloved And third off, they were actually making fun of an entire state.
Right.
I mean, they were just doing about 3 different things in the wrongest possible way they could possibly do that. Of course, we're from Oklahoma.
Right.
So somebody from like Montana or California or New York may not feel the same way as we do. But I remember being personally insulted, by that when they brought that out. And I'm pretty sure they probably lost a huge fan base.
Now, and you hit the nail on the hammer where they picked on a guy that was beloved.
Yeah. As JR is loved anywhere. I think he's probably, excuse me, boy, these allergies this year. I think JR is probably the only human being alive that could go into an arena in Texas with the OU Sooner theme and still get applause.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He can go to any arena. As soon as you hit the Boomer Sooner music on there, he will get a huge reaction.
Yeah, and nobody else could do that. If you and I tried that in Texas, oh, man, those Longhorns would be after us.
We wouldn't make it out alive.
Okay, my number one.
I'm interested.
Has a little bit in common with the Shockmaster. Shockmaster, of course, was wearing this Stormtrooper's helmet, and they didn't even try to really hide it other than they covered it with blue sparkle. It was a Stormtrooper's helmet from Star Wars. So this is one thing my number one had in common with that was they were trying to work something in the motion pictures in with professional wrestling, and it just didn't work. RoboCop.
What?
RoboCop.
Oh,
Remember that with WCW?
Sting.
Yeah, with Sting, and and here they are trying to make this into some kind of a believable gimmick where this android police officer is coming down and moving very slow and robotic-like, and what's the word for that I'm looking for? What's that word? Stupid. Yeah, that was just. Well,
that was actually a promotion. That actually was RoboCop.
Yeah, and I understand that this is not a real wrestler. However, they did present it in the vein of wrestling, so therefore, by definition, it has to qualify as a gimmick.
Oh, yeah, because, Sting was legitimately saying, this is a guy that has my back.
Yeah, and...
Poor Sting. He's had to introduce RoboCop and Shockmaster.
You know the advantage that the guy playing RoboCop had, don't you?
What?
Nobody knew who the hell he was. And he doesn't have to worry about that to this day. And I'm wondering if Sting, if he were to be interviewed, if he would feel the same way about this as Terry Taylor felt about the character of Red Rooster, if this would be something he'd really rather not talk about. That had to be a huge embarrassment. A huge embarrassment for him to have to do and try to sell, and not to mention the announcers,
right?
Because the announcers had to sell this as, oh, look, here comes RoboCop to save the day. And how in the world, I remember when I was working in radio, I was given we love to give away things. We just love to do it as on-air personalities. We love doing that because we know we always came off looking good, and I always contended that we could give away anything on the air and make it, and somebody would love it. The only time where I was given something to give away and I was really kind of like, no, are you serious? Was when my general manager of the station I was working in, which I'd really rather not say which one this was, actually brought a tomato plant. That little tiny tomato seedling in a small pot, and I had to try to give this away on the air and make it sound like it was a good thing. And I kind of felt like probably what Sting felt when he was trying to have to sell the idea of RoboCop, or any of the announcers was trying to sell the idea of RoboCop was really there to save the day. It's like trying to give away a frickin' tomato plant on the radio and try to make it sound like you just won $1 million. It just ain't going to happen. It just ain't going to happen.
With these gimmicks, they're setting these. To me, they're almost setting them up to fail, because the characters that succeed the best are the ones that we kind of related to earlier, that are basically a little bit of themselves just turned up to 10.
The biggest example of that I could think of would have to be Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Perfect example.
Because, he is relatable. It's a real character. It's pretty much what his personality is. Yep. Michael P.S. Hayes would be another excellent example. I guarantee you, as cocky as he is on TV, he is just that cocky in person.
Yep, exactly.
Or at least was. I don't know if he's kind of mellowed out by now. But you're right. It's a magnification of something that person already has. And that's what makes it work. Nobody has RoboCop. Nobody has a Shockmaster. And for God's sakes, nobody is a frickin' rooster.
No, unfortunately.
And it's just not going to work.
And I really, that was our time.
Hornswoggle could be a Keebler elf.
Man, that would be a great angle. So that's our top 5. We would love to hear from you guys to give us your feedback on your top 5. Go ahead and send us messages.
Absolutely.
And emails. We've already gotten an email.
Yep.
So hopefully the next ones will be more positive, but give us your opinion. We'd love to hear it.
Now, if you did want to send us an email, you can send it to me. My email address is really easy to remember, and we're probably going to get some official email addresses for the show, but mine, if you do want to contact me, is bill@wbward.com. That's not just a cheap plug on my website, but that's my email address, bill@wbward.com. So if you want to send us a message, maybe you have some ideas for a segment of the show, or you want to throw in your 2 cents on what your worst all-time gimmick was, please feel free to do so. bill@wbward.com. Of course, you can go onto my Facebook at facebook.com/wbward. That's another way you can get in touch with us. So please feel free to reach out. We'd love to reach out to you. And that about wraps it up. Join us next week right here for more SCI Wrestling.